Hello once again to the Wiki Weekdays podcast. I am your host this week, Lucas Holland, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Karl Smallwood.
Hello.
And, the Wiki Weekdays podcast, as always, both Karl and I have brought a wiki each for us to discuss this week. And this week we do actually have a theme, and we decided last week that this week's theme would be toys. So just the general, vague idea of we're talking about toys of some description this week.
Yes.
And I was going to say, we kind of missed the trick a little bit here, Karl.
Why? What did I miss?
Because we kind of missed a trick in not saying that we were going to do, some Barbie Oppenheimer podcast instead.
To be fair, yeah, we could have done... But would you really want to talk about a bomb that was used to kill?
No.
To incinerate half a city's worth of people?
It would have been, maybe a fun, 5 minutes discussion on us campaigning which movie you should go see first or something to, stick with the memes. But, I don't think, it wouldn't have made the most fun podcast, really.
I'm going to be honest, I am way more excited for that Barbie movie than I am for that Oppenheimer movie.
Oh, yeah, more.
The only thing for the Oppenheimer movie I care about is the fact that Christopher Nolan built a nuclear bomb. Jokes, he films everything practically. The nuclear bomb explosion scene in that movie is a practical effect.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know how he did. So it's basically, I'm going to go to watch Barbie, go to the bathroom at the exact point in the Oppenheimer movie playing in the theater next door that moment happens, watch it, and then go back in and watch Barbie.
Because, I don't know about you, Karl, but I feel pretty uncomfortable with the idea of actually destroying the planet in the name of making a fucking movie.
It's fine. Do you ever see that time where Christopher Nolan planted an entire field of corn?
Yeah, I remember discussing that at some point, yes. But I don't think that quite outweighs nuking somewhere.
I don't think it was actually a nuclear, but he built, the equivalent of a bomb to get the shot for the scene. The only shot in the film that anyone gives a shit about.
Of course, yeah. And, I normally respect the level of efforts Christopher Nolan goes to, but I don't really, like the idea, as I say, of just bombing the planet for the sake of a shitty movie.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it'll be a fine movie.
And well acted, yeah.
No movie is worth destroying the planet for, is my point.
Here's the thing, though. In that film, are they going to get Cillian Murphy to be like, I am become death, destroyer of worlds? Or are they going to get him to say what he actually said, which was fuck all?
Oh, right.
Because Christopher Nolan's a stickler for accuracy, because people maybe don't know, it's often reported that Oppenheimer, upon witnessing the first nuclear test, said the words, I am become death, destroyer of worlds, which is a quote from some Sanskrit Hindu scripture. It turns out he never said anything. He thought that in his head, but stood there in awed, stunned silence.
Yeah.
Witnessing the destructive power he had wrought. And I love that. Have you seen the meme going around of it's Cillian Murphy like that of and just the caption below is, they used it to do what?
Oh, God. Anyway, moving on to some hopefully less depressing topics than bombing places. Hopefully, Karl, you have brought something that's a bit more exciting and, toyetic and childlike for us to go through.
Well, yes, my friend. So, I think we had the rough, criteria for today of a toy from around the 1990s. Yeah, around the time we were growing up.
Our childhood toys, yes.
Yes, I scoured the length and breadth of the internet, and I decided let's talk about Beanie Babies. And do you know the reason why we're talking about Beanie Babies today, Lucas?
Is it because the recent thing going around of here's the price speculation book of in 10 years' time or something?
No, it's because when I scrolled, so as always, the wikis we're reading from can be found below. I'm on the Wikipedia page for Beanie Babies. Do you know the see also bit at the bottom?
Yeah.
It has a bunch of other, popular 90s toys and speculative markets where, the bottom fell out. So we have Beanie Babies, Cabbage Patch Kids, Chia Pets, Pet Rocks, Tulip Mania, which was something similar happened 100 years ago. Maybe we'll cover that on another episode. And then non-fungible tokens.
Oh, God.
So even Wikipedia's like, hey, do you know what else was a speculator's market? That's complete and utter bullshit with no real value ascribed to it. NFTs, because NFTs are literally, if you Google Beanie Baby Wiki, you'll get the Wikipedia page for Beanie Babies. It says, hey, see also NFTs.
Oh, God, no. I've seen something going around, a couple of people talking about Beanie Babies recently, because it was like someone had shared images of like, here's one of those Beanie Baby collectible books of like, here's what the Beanie Babies were supposedly going to be worth in the future. And it's like, nothing, they're worth nothing.
They're worth nothing yet. They were a speculator's market. It was fueled entirely by speculation. We have a video on the main Fact Fiend channel, which goes into detail about how they became a speculator's market. But for a broader overview, as is the case, and normally the way we do things here on Wiki Weekends, or Wiki Weekdays, to say, let's go and start from the beginning. So Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies are a line of stuffed toys, so they do still exist.
Yes, yeah.
And they're still made. They're just not worth hundreds of thousands of dollars anymore. Created by American businessman H. Ty Warner, who founded Ty Inc. in 1986. The toys are stuffed with plastic pellets, or beans, rather than conventional soft stuffing. Soft stuffing, not stuffed stuffing. They come in many different forms, although they are mostly animal shapes. And here's the question. Did you ever have a Beanie Baby?
About 40.
You're about 40? Okay. So
yes.
I didn't have any Beanie Babies bought for me proper, but because they were so cheap, they ended up like just around the house.
Right,
and I remember Beanie Babies, you could get some fucking distance on them bastards. So one of the things, as I said, they're stuffed with like little plastic beans.
Similar to like bean bags that you sit on, yeah.
Yeah. So what me and my brothers would do is you'd sit there and say like you've got like, I don't know, a cat. You get the paws and you scrape as many of the plastic beans as you can into each of its four paws. So it starts starfishing, and then you whip it like a ninja star. And it like the centrifugal force sends out. Is it centrifugal's in? Is it centripetal force out? Because someone's going to correct us on that. Let us know in the comments.
I will not pretend like I know which one's which at the moment.
Because I know that people always use those interchangeably, but either way, when you whipped them and you frisbeed them, the beans would just like stick into the corner, and you could get a black eye or two out of one of those things. If you've got them with like two of the legs in each eye, that's your brother down for the count.
Beanie Babies were as you say, they are soft toys, but they're a bit more solid when you throw them, obviously, because they have that bit of weightiness to them rather than just being filled with like the normal like cotton or whatever that plushies are normally stuffed with.
Have I told the story before about when I saw that Build-A-Bear like ruin that kid's day?
Oh yeah.
Should I tell that story? I'll tell that story for the podcast. If you're a podcast listener, you've not heard me tell this story before on one of the other places or platforms, you can follow me. I was in Build-A-Bear one day. So with a friend of mine who was like, I think they had a new Pokemon release or something like that. I want to look at the Pikachu Build-A-Bear. And if people aren't familiar with Build-A-Bear, you build your own teddy bear. And as part of the process of building your own teddy bear, you can choose like what the covering is. And most importantly, to my story, you can choose how fluffy your bear is inside. So you can choose the level of stuffed it gets. And before they do that, what do they do, Lucas? So you've presumably gone through the process of building a Build-A-Bear.
I can't remember the exact steps, but like you pick which bear you want, and you name it, and you get a little heart tag.
There it is, yeah.
And you put the heart tag so that like it's giving it life.
Yeah, so
and then they put it on the stuffer, and then put the stuffing in.
So what you do is you get a little heart, and they say that's the teddy bear. You're going to give it life. You put it in, and they fill it up because it looks like magic to a little kid, doesn't it? It's like you put it in, put it in this machine, and then just boom, it comes to life.
I'm not going to lie, Karl. It's fucking magical to me.
It does look, it's really cool.
31 years old, it still looks magical. It's great.
So, like, I was there, and there's this kid getting his bear built, and like as we were looking around the shop at all the different accessories for this like Pikachu my friend wants to get, you just see this little excitable kid, like very nervously picking up all these accessories, and they're attached to the bear before it's even built, and they are very hesitant to hand the bear over to the I don't know what you call them, the assistant, the guy working there.
The retail worker, yeah.
Yeah, the person was walking around the store and picking up the accessories and stuff. And like it takes the worker a good like minute or two to coax this empty bear shell from this child, and they reassure them endlessly. It's like, no, the bear will be fine. It'll be fine. We're going to make, he's not happy because he's got no love inside of him. Let's give him some love. And they put the bear on the little thing that blows all the stuffing into it. And clearly it was this person's first day because they put it in and you see the bear just start to fill up. And I will never forget, because those things are soundproof to fuck. So you just see this bear just go, wong, 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 wong. And it just exploded in this cloud of fluff. And obviously the machine starts firing fluff everywhere. And all you see is this kid just like, and then just tears. And obviously the work that they don't do, because obviously, as you said, they walk you around the store and be like, this is your bear. We're going to fill him with love. And it literally just detonated in front of this child. And
murdered this bear in front of its eyes.
I contend it's the funniest fucking thing I have ever seen. I have never laughed so hard. I was almost on the floor in tears, like the kid was, laughing, because it was so funny. And obviously I feel bad, but it's just that thing was like just the perfect, just, so you can see it in your head, can't you?
Yeah. That is gone.
But, we're not talking about those, like, shit-ass, like, stuffed with fluff bears. We're talking about the stuff with bean bears. So created in 1993, Beanie Babies emerged as a major fad and collectible during the latter half of the 1990s. They have been cited as the world's first internet sensation. So a world's first, not one of the first, the world's first. Because I believe they were massive on eBay.
Yeah, obviously, eBay must have been a up-and-coming site at the time. Like
around the time, yeah. It
coincided. Turn of the noughties kind of time, and yeah, Beanie Babies were getting big around, turn of the century, and that was just as the internet was starting to become only accessible to people as well.
Like a perfect storm. It dovetailed with the launch and rise of eBay almost flawlessly. But we have here, they were collected not only as toys, but also as a financial investment, owing to the high resale value of particular beanies.
Which, again, was all bullshit.
It was all speculation, yeah. And it probably won't mention it here, but a key detail about the speculators' market of Beanie Babies is that it was fueled almost entirely by one person who released the Beanie Baby catalog. Maybe it's the one you're talking about where they say this is how much it'll be worth. It probably
was, yeah. Like, in 10 years' time, this is how much it'll be worth.
Yeah, and they had like a weekly internet newsletter, or email newsletter, say, where they would like say, here are the beanies that are like going to be worth the most soon. Make sure you snap up these beanies right now. And Lucas, would it surprise you to learn that the beanies that they said were going to worth a lot were the ones that they just bought massive job lots of?
It's wild how crazy that is. Just they kept getting so lucky with it, Karl.
Yeah. But anyway, history. Beanie Babies were first introduced in 1993 by Ty Warner at the World Toy Fair in New York City. And I would love to go to something like that. That sounds so really fun.
Cool. This is like justification for me at like 8 years old or whatever. Because me and both of my younger sibling, we all had some level of collection of Beanie Babies. Mm-hmm. My older sister less so, but me and my younger, and like we always argued of whether it was Ty or whether it was TY.
I always pronounce it Ty because it's the guy's name.
But exactly, it's a guy's name. It's Ty. Like it's not a logo of like capital T, capital Y. It's just it's Ty.
Yeah, the company's Ty Warner.
And I always had arguments with my sisters about that. Of like, no, it's not TY, it's Ty, and I'm just like.
Some people would argue. I've always said Ty because it's the guy's name. Like you say, like the guy's name was Ty Warner, not Ty Warner.
Yeah, exactly. And I will fight hands with people in the comments over this.
But either way, it says here that so manufacturing began in 1994, and they were first sold in stores located around the Chicago area in Illinois for around $5 a piece. Which,
that sounds about right, because I remember when they started picking up a little bit in popularity, they were like £5 to £10 over here.
That's what made them so collectible. Is because
that's why I had loads of them. Yeah, because they were just like cheap.
There was what I like to call, or I guess what like the industry calls pocket money toys. Mm-hmm. Well, you think something like a video game is not a pocket money toy. You can't buy a video game because most pocket money is like a couple of quid. Mm-hmm. How much pocket money did you get when you were a kid? I think I got £1 a week.
My grandparents gave me like £2 a week.
Yeah, so I think I got like £1. It went up to £2 when I was a bit older. And but you're not going to buy a video game with that, but you could buy a Beanie Baby. You save up for a couple of weeks, you could buy a Beanie Baby, pocket money toys.
Or it's cheap enough where if we were on holiday, our parents were like, well, if you're good for the day, we'll go buy you a Beanie Baby.
It's
like they wouldn't be like, oh, well, if you're good today, you can go buy a £40 video game.
Yeah. I guess the adult equivalent would be like, impulse buy. Like it's something where the cost is low enough where you can justify to yourself spending it as an indulgence.
And that's why I always argue with certain people who get really uppity about the fact I've got some Funko Pops.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
why didn't you get a
saw
actual...
like a cheap figure of Scorpion for like £8 in a store, like whatever.
They'll say, why don't you get one of those like super high end ones? Like, 'cause they cost $120 a piece. I had a tenner on me, and I like the character, and it just looks like it's a neat thing to put on my desk. Like I ain't got any on my work desk because my work desk is. I tend to keep my workstation quite clear. But you've been to my house. I've got a crap ton of collectibles. And what we might do after the break, I'd say, Joe, when we take our usual like midpoint break, I say we just go grab a couple of our own collectibles to show off.
Yeah,
for the video
and,
thing.
People can probably see behind me like a few of my Zelda amiibos, and same. I have like discussions with some friends at times where like, you got so many amiibo, do you not want like a high quality figure of all these characters? I'm like, yeah, but that would cost hundreds of pounds per figure.
Yeah,
where that entire collection of amiibo is only a few £100.
It's just an impulse buy, isn't it? Speaking of which, so they sold for around $5 a piece. Where did I get to? Oh, okay. So there were 9 original Beanie Babies. I'll give you, 20 podcast points if you can name, not the name of the thing, but guess one of the animals. So 9.
I'm going to say that one of them was probably like the very classic, almost Paddington Bear kind of look of just a plain, fluffy bear.
I'll give you that one. They had Brownie the bear, later renamed to Cubby. But that's pretty easy to guess, like a stuffed animal sour bear. Can you guess any of the other animals? I'll give you 3 guesses.
I'm going to say octopus.
There's no octopus.
There's no octopus. I'm going to say a dog.
There's a dog, so I won't give you a point for that one. Keep going. We'll see how many you can get. We've got you 3 lives here.
Another easy guess is just cat, I guess.
No, there's not a cat.
I know I had a squirrel quite early on.
Let's have a look. So, no, there's not a squirrel.
Oh.
So I'll read out the list now. So you got 2. So the original 9 were Legs the Frog. That's a good name for a frog, in it. Legs the Frog. So you got Legs the Frog, Squealer the Pig, Spot the Dog, Flash the Dolphin, Splash the Whale. I like this though. Chocolate the Moose. That's a good name for a moose, isn't it? Patty the Platypus, Brownie the Bear, and Pinchers the Lobster. And it says here that some of the pinchers were mislabeled punchers.
That reminds me of like Crabrawler from Pokemon, like the little punching crab.
But which of those is your favourite? You know what? I kind of like Chocolate the Moose.
The best name is definitely Chocolate the Moose, but I think if I was to have picked the animal out of any of those, it would be the dolphin one.
I think I might got Legs the Frog. Because I'm picturing it in my head. The Beanie Baby style with a little frog would be kind of cool.
I definitely did have a frog Beanie Baby, but again, a lot of the Beanie Babies I got were probably variations on those original ones, where it's like, it wasn't Legs the Frog, it was like Frog number 9 with a different name and different pattern.
That's where the collectability aspect came in. That they just endlessly recycle designs and stuff like that. But it says here, though, since 1994, Beanie Babies can generally only be found in specialty stores, such as gift stores and small toy stores. That's not really a specialty store, is it? It sells toys. That's a toy store.
But I don't exactly... I don't frequent many toy stores, but a lot of places where I see like collectible plushes and Funkos and stuff, I don't see Beanie Babies really.
Not really anymore. I bet you did in the 90s though. They used to sell that shit everywhere. It reminds me of like, do you know the song Live Aid? Do they know it's Christmas?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Maybe we'll do like around Christmas time. We could do a wiki on that or something, because it's one of the details about the release of that CD is it was so popular they sold it in butcher shops. Like butchers were buying copies of a CD, because obviously shops were allowed to buy it at retail price, and they were carrying it in butcher shops. It says here that so at first sales were relatively slow, and by 1995 many retailers refused to buy the bundles that the toys were offered in, while other retailers refused to buy Beanie Babies entirely. Around the same time, and this is where Beanie Baby, like Ty Warner, fucking genius. Ty Inc. decided to restrict quantities of Beanie Babies that would be produced and distributed. The company began limiting the number of Beanie Babies a store could buy per month to 36 of each character. So rather than so they did that classic thing of like, oh, well, you don't. Would you like to buy Beanie Babies? Oh, we haven't really got much space. Well, you're only allowed to buy 36. What? You can only buy 36 of each one.
They're too in demand.
Yeah, they're too in demand. And that's the thing. Because obviously they weren't, but when you get told, we can only sell you 36 of each toy, you might think, fucking hell. Well, we better get on this then. If we're only allowed to buy a limited amount, they must be big sellers. And that's what I contend this guy...
artificial scarcity, isn't it?
Exactly. That's Ty Warner is a genius for this. Like, evil and very manipulative, but, the guy's a billionaire. Because of this. He's a billionaire off the back of these things. A beanie, if you will. And here's like the second thing that Ty Warner did. That's like just like marketing textbooks have been written about, like the steps this guy took to market Beanie Babies. Because the second thing he did was retiring certain characters after a significant or insignificant period of time. And
then bringing them back as special editions later.
Yeah. So that meant that the production of specific characters would eventually cease. Because these decisions created scarcity, they led to a significant increase in sales and started the trend of collecting and reselling Beanie Babies. Their popularity soon grew into a national craze. And it's just entirely fueled by speculation that was both consumer-driven and corporation-driven. Like a perfect storm. And do you remember what helped the sales, the mania, reach its fever pitch? Because they have it detailed here, and they don't have the full details of how crazy it went. But when I tell you what collaboration they made, you'll be able to understand why.
Oh, okay.
So what would be the way to absolutely just hammer home the popularity of these things? What would you give away a Beanie Baby with? Think you're in the 90s.
McDonald's?
Yes.
Right, yeah.
So they in 1996 they released a miniature line of Beanie Babies that were sold alongside Happy Meals. And this is where you get this. I think the apex of the success of Beanie was this, because you would have queues a mile long outside of McDonald's where people would buy 50 Happy Meals and then throw them in the bin. People were walking up, buying the Happy Meals, dumping them all in the bin.
Well, we have
to resell the Beanie Babies.
Of our lifetime that I can remember happening a few years back with the Pokemon McDonald's.
Pokemon, same thing. Yeah, people would go in and you now think, Lucas, what do you think happened when people realised, you're seeing stories on the news of Beanie Babies can be worth $10,000. They're giving away for free with McDonald's, but only these certain ones. Yeah, but what do you think people did to get their hands on them?
I mean, I presume they just went up and down the fucking country getting as many Happy Meals as they could.
But also they started attacking McDonald's employees.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, people will try to attack employees.
The Szechuan sauce special, as we know it.
Buy 50 Happy Meals. Oh, I didn't get the one that I wanted, or give me the one I want. And it's we can't. We put them in randomly, each one. Because they were sealed.
And the weird thing is as well that most people don't realise is if you're clearly going and buying a couple of Happy Meals and you've got a kid with you and you're polite about it. I've had it multiple times where I remember going up and being oh, I already have this one, do you mind swapping it? And they're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But when it's clear that I'm buying 50 of them and going to go scream at the employees for not giving me the right ones, it's no, fuck you.
It's also as well people are buying the food to throw it away.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's McDonald's, we legally can't sell you. It's people asking how to just buy the Beanie Babies. We can't do that, which is a stupid thing to do. I don't understand why. When I was researching the story for fact, I was why did there must have been a manager somewhere? Because as well there were people selling on the black market, the Beanie Baby black market. You had McDonald's managers opening up the boxes and selling them off on the bottom and getting fired and stuff. But why would you not just sell the food? I'll say, oh, you bought a Happy Meal. Do you want to have the Happy Meal? No, thank you. Okay. Now,
when someone comes in and, can I have 20 Happy Meals? And it's just one adult on their own.
And they throw them all straight in the bin.
Are you just looking to buy the Beanie Baby toys? Yeah, okay, we can just put it through and not give you the food.
But then
they legally can't, because then that's, not giving the product that they bought for, and they can come at McDonald's, and I understand that legality of it, but yeah.
Imagine
not just an option for the same price to buy the toy.
Which I think you can do now. I think you can do if people collect Happy Meal toys, and you can just walk into a McDonald's. If you just say, "Can I buy one?" they'll sell them separately. Mm-hmm. It's like the same thing with like arcade machines and stuff. Doing they have like stuffed animals. Most places, if you just go up and ask the cashier, like, "Can I just buy one of the stuffed toys?" most of them will say yes. Mm-hmm. It's just all about asking nicely. But yeah, that was like when the Beanie Baby craze reached like its zenith. And like I said, people were fist fights. They were robbing McDonald's. They were, like, people were chasing trucks with McDonald's logos on them down the highway. People were trying to break in through the drive-thrus. And then obviously throwing food away en masse. So then you had like, people coming in and just like waiting around for parents, like all these people buying 50 Happy Meals and then giving them away. So I would not have wanted to work in a McDonald's at that point in time. I'll say that for free. But then we say, like, moving on. Thai Inc. decided to stop producing Beanie Babies in 1999. And the reasoning for it says here, but due to high demand, it led them to reconsider. That's not true. The actual story is that the bottom fell out of the market.
Right, yeah.
And
people stopped having that speculators market kind of thing.
And there's an interview with Ty Warner where they ask him, like, when did you know the craze was over? And Ty Warner would feverishly check online listings for Beanie Babies. Because he would, like, obviously every time, because he'd say every time we retired or announced the retirement of a Beanie Baby, I'd go onto eBay and the price would shoot up. And he said, like, I forget which one it was, but he said there was a beanie that had been really popular. We announced its retirement. I checked on eBay and the price didn't budge an inch. And he said that's when we realised the craze is over. So we announced that we're not going to sell any Beanie Babies anywhere anymore. And that's when everyone realised, let's just try and sell them all. But what happens when a million hoarders all try and sell their stock at the same time? Bottom fell out the market.
Yeah. Because obviously the only reason that the prices were driven up so high is because there were so many people hoarding a bunch.
Exactly,
hoping they could get a good price for them.
And that's why, like, as Ty Warner would later say, like, when he noticed the price didn't go up, that led to everyone trying to get rid of their stock because obviously, oh shit, the bottoms fell out. Let's get rid of what we've got. And it's like,
stuff like that is essentially a physical stock market.
Yeah,
and if you've invested a bunch of money in these Beanie Babies, and all of a sudden you see that people aren't buying them at like that value anymore, you have to sell as quickly as possible to keep as much of your investment as you can. Yeah,
it's why I say like one of the most, not the most depressing, but it's a very depressing like mini documentary you can find on YouTube if you're interested. This guy who's like filming his house and his parents bought Beanie Babies. They were all in. And he's just walking around his house and there's like, like brand new with the tags on Beanie Babies covering every wall.
Yeah.
And his parents are like $15,000 worth that they're insistent is going to like, pay for his retirement or his college. And it's just filming the house of like, wall to wall. It ruined my parents' lives.
Yeah. And I will clarify for anyone that thinks when I mentioned earlier that I had quite a few as a kid, like we were not buying them for
sell.
that sake. It was like, we never put the plastic tags on the name tags or anything. It was to have them to just play with and to cuddle and use as plushies. Like
they were cute.
They were adorable, yeah. Like for me and my sisters, it was just these are just cute little like colourful animals for us to have.
It's the same thing with like Pokemon cards. Of like I collected Pokemon cards as a kid. I've still got like a few knocking about my house. Like I like the artwork on them.
Yeah,
because some of that original watercolor Sugimori art is really nice. And like to get an original art print would be quite expensive, but you can get a pack of Pokemon cards for £7. Well, either way, so it's speaking of the tag, Lucas, the design of Beanie Babies, they are deliberately understuffed, which initially led to criticism that it made the toys look cheap. However, it set them apart from most stuffed animals on the market, which could not be posed easily. So if you have a stuffed bear just sits in the position that the bear's in. Beanie Babies, like I said, you can turn that shit into a ninja star.
Yeah, they were more fun to play with.
Yeah, because like you could pose them. You could play with them like dolls, or you could like pose them on your bed like a stuffed animal. Like they were a very like tactile toy.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the word toyetic earlier. People don't know the term toyetic. It's this marketing term used when describing toys of like how much fun does it elicit when you play? Like, does it have that like nice tactile feedback when you like play like a Transformers toy? It's got like the clickety clack stuff like that. It's like how much does it, like, capture the attention, the eye of someone who's looking to to play with it?
Yeah, it's just like kind of nebulous term for like, how does this feel as a toy to play with and exist with? Yeah,
it's like a deliberately vague term used to describe like, just does something feel like a toy? What do you mean? Was it toyetic? Anyway, another important design element is the tag. Since the beginning, Beanie Babies have included 2 tags for identification: a heart-shaped swing tag at the bottom and a fabric tush tag at the bottom. Both tags have been redesigned over time, and that led to, obviously, redesigns led to resale markets. It led to rarity, like some artificial, some deliberate, and some accidental, because some tags were just misprinted, which, of course, only led to further speculatory market action.
I'm fairly certain, if I'm not wrong in my head, I vaguely remember when it was the year 2000, they all had like TY 2000 with like a sparkly 2000 written on them.
They tried to relaunch them in 2000, and it's like they've never managed to recapture that thing. But to the credit of Ty, they never sold them for more than $5. So what do I said, like they deliberately undersell? They never did that dickhead thing a company that knows its product is in demand could do, of doubling the price. They always sold them for the same price, but what Ty would do, which is very clever, is that, say, for example, you've got a million of the frog and a million of the moose. What they do is they send like 10,000 of the moose to one store, and then the other 900,000 and 999,000 to the other end of the country. So the people in this side of the country, and conversely with the frog. So the people in that one, we've got a shit ton of frogs, but none of these moose. The moose must be rare. Conversely, other end of the country, wow, we've got all these frogs, but only a couple moose. The moose must be rare. Yeah. And they just now imagine that on a mass scale across stores across America, and sometimes within the same market, of just like deliberately under and overselling certain ones to fuel speculation and put in people's minds, like, so you walk into a store and you see 100 of one and only like 10 of another. You think, well, that must be rare, right? Mm-hmm. There's only 10 of this one, not realizing.
And you go, that one's like, well, if you go on holiday, like, I've not seen that one where we are. Like, let's grab this while we can.
And that was another thing that they would do as well, is they would sometimes sell exclusive beanies in other markets. And there's a mini documentary about this, where people would travel, they get a plane to the UK, go to the gift shop in the airport, buy a shit ton of Beanie Babies and fly back.
Could you be arsed?
Hey, mate, if that's the thing, imagine now, though, you're thinking that you're going to pay for your kids' college tuition with these things. And some people did. Some people made out like fucking bandits off these things.
I'm sure they did. And like you mentioned earlier, it's like, even stuff like NFTs, which we joke about all the time, that if there are people who are very clever about it, even in like a failing speculators market, there's a lot of speculators out there to take advantage of.
Yeah, and some people will make up like bandits. And I said, Ty, as evil as they were, as bad as they were, to their credit, they never, jacked up the price of them. They did the shady shit I just mentioned, but they always sold them for $5. And if you went out and bought 500 of them, that's on you.
Yeah, they did create like jumbo ones that cost more and stuff, but yeah.
And the mini ones which cost less for kids who only like pocket money toys.
Yeah. We
have here, speaking of which, collectability. So Beanie Babies began to emerge as a collectible in the late 90s, around 1995, and became a hot toy, which is its own blue words. So I love as well when we do a wiki weekend, and I see that could be another wiki, because hot toy is its own blue thing. I won't mind covering a list of fad toys, maybe. But the company's strategy of deliberate scarcity, producing each new design in limited quantity, restricting individual store shipments to limited numbers of each design, and regularly retiring designs created a huge secondary market for the toys, and only served to increase their popularity and value as a collectible. The company would systematically retire, and it says that in big air quotes, various designs, and many people assume that all retired designs would rise in value the way that early retirees had. So classic speculatory market stuff here of original Star Wars toys are worth a fortune now. So clearly all the stuff of the prequel trilogy is going to be worth a fortune as well, ignoring the fact that, the reason they're valuable so much is because there was only 100,000 of these things made and people opened and played with them. It's same thing with comic books, isn't it? Weren't many.
over time, because people have learned, like, oh, well, these old toys, they got valuable over time, etc. This Pokemon trading card got really expensive over time, like the Charizard one did.
Mm-hmm.
But now that means that the more people learn that lesson, the more people that are buying them to keep in mint condition. So that means that mint condition ones in the future won't be as rare.
Yeah, like, it completely ignores the reason. Like Pokemon cards, you mentioned that. People probably have stories about Gen 1 Pokemon cards being worth a lot of money. It's like, why? There was bloody millions of the things made. It's like, yeah, there was. But they were played with as well. So there's while there are millions out there, ones in tip-top condition are, like, way, way rarer.
It's not like we had people on TV unboxing them and putting them straight into seals and telling us that they were going to be really valuable in time. It was just go and play with them. Go and wrap an Elazi band around them and go and take them into school, put them in your bag, get knocked about,
get them all dog-eared
or anything.
Get them sun damaged, keep them in, like, your stacker box under your bed. And that's the thing as well. And if they had done that and millions of people would have taken that advice, they wouldn't be worth what it is today. It's, it's an Ouroboros of bollocks. Anyway, it says here that I don't know any way to describe it than an Ouroboros of absolute horse shit. So the systematic retirement of various designs, yet the craze lasted through to 1999. So it didn't even make it to the end of the 90s, mate. And slow decline after the Thai company announced that they would no longer be making Beanie Babies and made a bear called The End. Just the final bear. The End.
That's like the fucking anime villain comes in, just the end.
The End. The legendary sniper end bear coming in.
And how funny is it knowing that Beanie Babies are still being made now? In 99 they made a bear called The End.
Well, Lucas says, after some time, the company asked the public in a vote whether the product should continue.
I'd have been no, you already released The End. That's got to be it now.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, that's obviously a marketing strategy of we're not going to sell Beanie Babies anymore.
They say as the factory continues to produce new Beanie Babies.
Yeah, at its height in popularity, people could flip Beanie Babies for as much as tenfold on eBay. Indeed, at the height of the Beanie Baby mania, Beanie Babies made up 10% of eBay sales. 10% of all sales on eBay were Beanie Babies.
Think about that now. Something being 10% of eBay nowadays. That would be insanity.
Ridiculous, yeah. Some collectors are able to insure their purchase for thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. And then we have, just for anyone curious about how a speculator's market would occur, following are key factors that contributed to the collectible nature of Beanie Babies. So unique creative elements, so each product contained a unique birthday and poem that was printed on a tag, supply and demand, very basic business stuff, availability, as we've discussed, new releases / retirements that happen several times a year. So they were on it. And it says here.
I want to just double check, because there's so many Beanie Babies. There must be a Beanie Baby for each of our birthdays.
There probably is, yeah. But it says here that Warner, because this is what I think makes it so genius, that the company not only, as I said, they never jacked up the price, but they very closely followed the trend.
Mm-hmm.
And were they were on the ball when it came to recognizing when the trend was at its peak, but also when it was on its decline. So Warner was keenly aware that the Beanie Baby bubble could burst and eventually started requiring retailers who sold Beanie Babies to stock other products lines by his company if they wished to continue selling beanies. And again, this guy is a fucking genius. In business textbooks, they have chapters on this guy. Because
the only way you're allowed to get Beanie Babies is by buying other products as well now.
And obviously, the toy stores don't know. It's shit, people are still buying these things en masse. Yeah, of course. You can imagine being a toy store saying, no, we don't want to stock Beanie Babies. Of course, we'll stock your other stuff. But doing this ensured that after the lines of Beanie Babies did not sell as well, the company was able to stay afloat after the fad ended because of these additional sales and become successful in their own right. And it continues to this day. And as mentioned, Ty Warner is a multi-billionaire.
Fucking hell.
And I think the final thing to note is that counterfeit Beanie Babies, which surfaced around 1997, and they were widely available and commonly found at discount prices, even lower than the admittedly quite low price of Beanie Babies, contrary to how popular they were. And authorities did crack down on counterfeit Beanie Babies throughout the 90s. People were prosecuted for their involvement in the commerce of counterfeit beanies. For example, in 1998, the UK authorities seized and destroyed more than 6,000 counterfeit Princesses and Britannias. And the Princess and Britannias were a super rare bear made in honour of... Do you want to guess, Lucas?
Was it like one of the Jubilees?
It was made in honour of Diana, Princess of Wales.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But Lucas, I said it got released in 1997. So do you want to guess why this became a collectible?
Was it released before the death of Lady Di?
Yes. It was released in honour of her before she died, and then she died, and then they stopped producing it, and this was at the height of the Beanie Baby craze. So what do you think happened to that Beanie Baby?
Obviously, that shot up in value.
I think it's one of the few ones that's actually still valuable now because of the notoriety around it.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it's got a very easily tracked history of they made it, she died, they stopped making it, everyone who had one didn't sell it.
Yeah, because I was trying to remember what year she died. I thought that might have been they made it as a commemorative Beanie Baby after she passed away.
No,
it's
imagine the balls to do that though.
In honor of Princess Diana. Thing to do. That would be, but it wouldn't surprise me if people tried. I don't know how many companies tried to jump on the death of a royal to sell things. I don't know how that works, but it wouldn't surprise me a lot of people made money off the Queen dying, for example. I know that was less of a tragic accident, and it was just that she was old, but still, yeah.
Yeah, but that was the one for the Beanie Babies of that's the one to this day that remains quite valuable because that was produced in very limited quantities.
Of course, yeah.
And obviously, just the notoriety of they made it and she fucking died. But that, Lucas, is Beanie Babies.
Well, just to end things, Karl, I wanted to check what Beanie Babies were associated with us via birthdays.
Okay, is there a place to check that?
There is Beanie Babies on Beaniepedia.
There's Beaniepedia. Okay, so in which case then, I guess post this link in the description as well, because I'd be curious. Hey, folks, if you want to know what your Beanie birthday is, let us know.
Mm-hmm. So Karl, yours is 2nd of Feb, right?
Oh, I'm actually kind of touched that you remember. 2nd of the 2nd. I know yours is in February, right?
No, January.
No, that's so here's the thing. My birthday, Lucas's birthday, Brad's birthday, Nisha's birthday, and 3 of our close friends all have birthdays in the last week of January or the first week of February.
It's there's a solid 2-week period where there's so many birthdays.
I know at least 10 people's birthday happen in that space of time.
Yeah, we used to all just basically be what's one day in this solid 2-week period that we're going to just celebrate all of our birthdays in one big go, and just go on a massive night out.
And I'm just going to point out that my birthday is the 2nd of the 2nd, so I'm going to say mine's probably a bit easy to remember.
And Karl, there are many. Okay, I did find one that isn't actually the same thing, but can you guess what most of the Beanie Babies for your birthday are?
What? Aquarius and Pisces? Alright, it's in February, so I'm going to guess.
I mean an animal that would be for your specific birthday.
What's I'm thinking? Aquarius is what I am, so I'm thinking water themed, crab.
Well, what day is your birthday, Karl?
Oh, it's Groundhog Day, duh. So is it
a
groundhog?
A bunch of them are just groundhogs.
Hey, go on, give me a name. What's the groundhog?
One of them at the bottom was just called Big Apple the Bear in 2004.
You know what? I'm all right. I'm all right with Big Apple the Bear.
But there's a bunch of different groundhog variations that they must release.
Hell, goddamn. I always forget my birthday's on Groundhog Day.
Puxatawny Phil, 2009, the Groundhog Chamber of Commerce.
Oh yeah, I think that's
is that the town where
that Groundhog Day
came from?
Puxatawny Phil, yeah.
Right, yeah. So okay, just going down. It's just Puxatawny Phil, just different variations of that Puxatawny Phil, the Groundhog. So I should have seen that one come in, but
Groundhog Day.
I wonder what the first one released with your birthday was.
It's a proper baller way of doing it, isn't it? It's now imagine if you're a kid, it's this Beanie Baby was born on the same day as you. What a great birthday present.
yeah, I always remember trying to like look for the birthday that shared
Exactly.
my birthday.
That's the thing. Imagine now every store you go into, kids are going to be looking for their Beanie Baby. It's like I said, Ty Warner is a genius.
So the first one that I can see release date wise was 2001 with your birthday, and that was Romance the Bear.
Romance
a
the Bear.
Valentine's Day themed one. And you would think, like, surely they just put it on Valentine's Day, but yeah. Then the first one that I found released with my birthday, I think I owned this one. This looks like the one I owned, called Nuts the Squirrel.
Nuts the Squirrel, and that's born on...
Nuts the Squirrel. 21st of January.
The 21st of January, yeah.
Released in 97.
I won't remember when that is, I'm really sorry. I'm so bad with birthdays.
I'm awful with birthdays. I'm never offended when people forget them, because, like, I always forget people's birthdays. I'm never offended.
It just so happens
yours
that
is easy to remember because it's just like Groundhog Day, isn't it?
It's Groundhog Day and it's 2-2. It's very easy to remember, like the second day of the second month.
Mm-hmm.
To number 2. But yeah.
I just thought that'd be fun to like check what our Beanie Babies are.
Yeah, my Beanie Baby birthday is Nuts the Squirrel. No, Puxatawny
my
Phil.
Beanie birthday
Nuts the Squirrel.
I'm Nuts the
I
Squirrel.
can't be Nuts. I want
you
Legs
get
the Frog.
Romance the Bear.
I want Legs the Frog, man. I'll Punchy the Lobster. What the fuck that was called? I'll Punchy the Lobster. But yes, that is the wiki entry on Beanie Babies. And we forgot to mention at the start of this episode of Wiki Weekdays that we'd like you folks at home to vote on which wiki you thought won this week. So which wiki won this week? Let us know in the comments which of the wikis we're covering today you prefer. Obviously after you've listened to Lucas's. But before that,
of course,
we have some housekeeping to do, yes?
We just have some general housekeeping, nothing, anything really like special. But yes, as usual, just if you would like to contact us to put something special in this midpoint break, then you can contact us at wikiweekends@gmail.com, and that will just be in the description of this video, and it's on the about section of the YouTube page and stuff. But yes, if you would like to find a way to collaborate with us and put a little mention of whatever you'd like in the middle of the podcast, and
just tell us about your Beanie Babies.
If you'd like to let us know what your Beanie Baby is.
I'd say, if someone's got that Beanie Baby with my birthday, let us know. If you've got that, let us know. If you want to, I'll buy it off you. The like market value $5. I'll do that.
And yeah, just other than that, I guess go check me and Karl out on Twitch. Give us a follow. Have you got anything specific on Twitch you'd like to shout out that you're doing?
Mate, every week, Metal Gear Rising, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Play every Friday.
Maybe the people at home don't know.
Good laugh. It's a good laugh.
Karl beats Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. He beats down Senator Armstrong every single Friday.
I'll stop doing it if it stops being hype, mate.
Yeah, exactly. And personally, at the moment, for probably the next couple of weeks, I'm continuing doing a Resident Evil 4 Remake knife-only challenge on my Monday nights on Twitch.
Just nothing says like master of the combat knife, like, whoa, it's Roberto in his way across the stage.
Just stabbing Salazar in the face 20 times for him to insta-kill me once again.
I still can't believe you pulled that off. I still can't believe you stabbed Salazar Slytherin to death with a knife. Legend.
It was a fun challenge, but yeah, we've still got the island to do, so it'll probably be another stream or two of that. And yeah, go give us a follow over there and show us some love. But for our little break here, we'll go find some toys to show off before we get into my wiki entry in a minute.
No problem. So yes, thanks for listening to the first half, folks. We'll be back again in a few minutes. But I'm going to go scour my house now for what dumb collectibles do I have that I want to show off. So back in a minute.
Hell yeah. Well then, we are back, and Karl, I think that means that you've found maybe something for you to show off in a little break.
So obviously as a kid, I collected the usual. I had Pokemon cards, I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards, still got quite a few. Oddly enough, I've got a bunch of Magic cards I've never used because a mutual friend of ours had to get rid of them all when his girlfriend said so. So I've got like 15 Magic decks that I've never used. But when it comes to collecting stuff now as an adult, I like to collect two types of things. Things that I had as a kid that I either had to get rid of or sell that I'd like to re-own again. So in that vein, I have stuff like this. So I've got like Wu-Tang Taste the Pain on PS1. So I have a bunch of you're the same as me, I imagine. You've got a bunch of old school video games. Some obscure,
you can
some
see
not.
Some of them behind me. I think there's 360 games there and PS2 up there or something.
Yeah. So I've some of them are just more the nostalgia. Like Wu-Tang Taste of Pain is probably worth a little bit of money because it has like some notoriety about it, which is a game I had as a kid. I had to get rid of when we sold our PlayStation to get a PS2 and bought again because, like, I like it. I want to continue owning it. In the same vein, I've got like a bunch of old games like that. And then the other criteria things I like to collect is just things that I think are weird enough that no one else I'll meet will have them.
Mm-hmm.
So in that vein, I've got a bunch of like just stuff from foreign countries that like has no real value and you can't buy. But I've got things like sand from the Dubai desert, like a pair of shoes that I wore on the Great Wall of China. I've got them still knocking about somewhere. Because who else has got a pair of like Converse that went to China, for example? They made them there, shipped them over here, and I took them back. Other things like just stuff that again that's unique. So I don't collect watches. I'm not into like horology or anything like that. Watches are a big thing people collect. But I do have an officially branded Freezer Swatch watch, which I just thought was cool. I saw it and I got a matching one for my friend. It's a Goku one.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like the best man at his wedding. So I've said when you get married, if you're not wearing your Goku watch, and I'm not wearing my Freezer watch, and we're not fist bumping when you go down the aisle, you got another thing coming, mate. So just like, little things like that of like clothing wise, I don't generally give too much of a shit about clothing. But when it's something silly like that, I've got my dinosaur shirt. That's a shirt made from a bedspread for a kid.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's little things like that of like, I like to express myself through my clothing choices. And that's like one of the examples of that.
And question, have you worn the Freezer Swatch watch?
Yeah, I wear it when I go out. It's just not often that I don't like the feel of jewellery on me.
So I was going to say, I don't often see you wearing like jewellery or watches or anything like that.
It's more like, I like to have it. It's like, you'd ask anyone who owns like watches, like if they actually collect proper nice watches, which, it's a Swatch watch. Swatch is a good brand, Swiss watch.
Yeah.
Like, it's solid. It's a really good timepiece, but it's not like a fucking Omega.
No, that's Swatches on like the lower end of watches designer brands wise, but like it's still a good quality watch, as you say.
But you ask anyone who actually collects watches, like how often do you wear one? So, no, I buy it because I like to appreciate it for its aesthetic quality.
Or some people buy them, as we mentioned, speculators markets.
Yeah, and for anyone curious, like horology, like not maybe that. To be fair, this might be worth a bit someday.
Might be.
It was part of a limited run, and it's a popular brand combined with another popular brand. But watches are very good at keeping their quality. Or not the quality, they're very good at keeping their value. I have a friend who collects watches. He's got like an Omega, and like he's got a couple of the really expensive ones. I think he basically spent his student loan on one. And we all called him an idiot when he spent like $5,000 of his student loan on a watch until 3 years later, he sold it for $15,000 and then bought another one. So if you know what you're doing, like they're a very good investment because they hold their value very, very well. But it's also they hold their value while still being something you can use. Like you can still wear a watch and sell it. You can't drive around a fancy car and sell it for like more than you got it for. But the other thing I do is like the other thing I collect is things I wanted to have as a kid. And now I've got a bit of disposable income as an adult. It's like, fuck it, I want it. So, for example, I've got this, which is a coffee table book, and it is the Final Fantasy Ultimania Archive. And I've got the full collection. I've got a bunch of coffee table books. I love coffee table books because I fucking love like the Iwano art that's in there. That's probably not a great example of it, but it's like just design dockets for all of the original games.
Nice. Yeah.
And just things like that I adore. Because obviously fact fiend, love learning facts. But yeah, I've got a shit ton of coffee table books. And the one that is missing that I want, and if anyone out there has it and they're willing to part with it for less than £400, which is how much it goes for on the secondhand market, contact me, I will buy it off you. It's the Yoji Shinkawa Metal Gear art book.
Oh,
they have never re-released that for sale, and I want it. And I'm hoping that with the release of that new Metal Gear like Ultimate Collection, which has the digital version, it might make the one go down because people might like get the digital version and sell their physical copy. I want the physical version. If anyone out there has that, the Yoji Shinkawa Art of Metal Gear book, and you're willing to part with it, I will buy it from you. Because it only ever goes for sale very rarely, and then it goes, like I said, £400-500.
And this tiny fly has been annoying me all podcast.
There's been a lot of flies, yeah, but I love all stuff like that. So I've got a bunch that I've got like the making of books. I've got like on like movies that I like and stuff like that. So yeah. But obviously, as a kid, I couldn't afford one of those. But now I can as an adult. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want a book of like this fucking awesome art from a series I adore.
And it's like, I'm curious to know whether stuff like that, increases or decreases the value of like the physical book, where you get like digital versions, as you say, the Master Collection, Volume 1, I think it's called, of like the Metal Gear Solid games 1 to 3 is coming out soon.
I am curious about that myself as well, because I know that happened with, is it that Trombone game? That was like worth like 300 quid on the like aftermarket, but then they released it digitally on like PlayStation Plus, and the market shot down by like 90% because now it's no longer the only way to play it.
Interesting. I might look at getting that then, because that was one of the games that back in the day I looked at buying a copy of, because as you say, like getting some old PlayStation or N64 or whatever, GameCube games that I sold while I was a poor student. Like the obviously I sold them as a poor student, and I sold the ones that had held some value. But generally speaking, most of those have not just held their value, they've gone up in value even more since then. And
it's very rare something like that does, especially like something technology-based. Like technology so rarely goes up in value.
But yeah, I've just bought a couple of maybe more common things of like, I don't...
But you still really like that thing, yeah. You like them, like, though, don't
you? Yeah. I don't really have like toys as such. A lot of the
you've
toys
saved sight in front of a bunch of stuff. I can see all them toys behind you.
I have like a lot of collectible stuff, but I don't necessarily have like toys in what we might think of the traditional sense. Like, I got rid of my Power Rangers toys and stuff like that. Like, I don't have any big action figure. Like, I don't really know with Power Rangers stuff specifically whether it was me or my parents that got rid of it.
I bet it'd still be worth money if you had the box.
I never kept the boxes for anything.
No one ever
Those
did.
boxes got shredded open the moment I got my hands on them. But I've just brought a couple of things like that I mentioned earlier. Of like, I wanted to show off one of my amiibos. This one of
that's
my
the best
favorite.
One. Captain Falcon with his big fucking dick. Show that to the camera.
Early on with amiibos, the Super Smash Bros. Amiibos were all based off the poses that they have for their like in-game artwork.
Yeah.
Which meant that a lot of them, like Captain Falcon, the only part of his artwork that's touching the floor is this tiny bit of tiptoe. So that means that they just have these giant sticks down the middle of them. And some of them were yellow as well, so they just looked like pea sticks.
The worst bit is, though, that they weren't on, like, when they announced the release. It's like, oh yeah, the Captain Falcon amiibo, they never put that plastic stick on the thing.
On the promotional work, yeah.
And it's like, the fact on the Captain Falcon one, it's just on his dick. He just looks it's just on his dick. It looks so bad. Obviously,
right up into that anus.
How much would it cost to get a Captain Falcon amiibo? Like, no one's going to be selling a Captain Falcon figure.
Yeah, like, where do they sell other Captain Falcon figures? And if they do, are they cheap? No, they're not. That cost me like $10 at the time.
And it's like, it's funny as well. It's on your shelf. It's just like, oh yeah, Captain Falcon's got a big plastic dick. That's kind of funny.
And then I also mentioned... Pokemon cards, and more specifically, the McDonald's rush that there was a few years ago.
So you still got one of those?
I never went. However, one day, a couple of our friends came around, and they had, like, stacks of spares, and were like, do you want a bunch of these McDonald's Pokemon cards? Like, they were just trying to get a full set, and then because they'd gone around trying to buy a bunch of Happy Meals, had a bunch of spares. So, like, I've got a couple of them. I've got more than this, but... These two I like, and I've put in the like little display things that they come with.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll try and cover my face to get the camera to show them a bit better.
So you got the Piplup and the Pikachu.
A shiny Piplup and a Pikachu, and I just thought I'd put them in like little card displays that McDonald's provided. I'm like, they're pretty cute ones to have on your shelf, and I say I've got like maybe half of the collection of the non-shinies, but they just wanted a full set, and obviously you get a lot of spares as you go around and pick them up. And then also with my Pokemon cards, I've still got my old school Pokemon card holster. And like you push down on here and a little card, or apparently multiple cards pop out because they weren't built great.
The thing is that I want to get one of those. I want to keep some condoms in it. So next time I bring a girl over, don't worry. Ba-dum!
Pop out like an original Mew, like the promo Mew that was from the first movie, for example. Like, I got rid of most of my old school Pokemon cards I kind of checked out the value, and most of them were worth pennies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have, like the Charizard or anything, and they're all just in here. Like, they're not in sleeves or anything because they were just as used as a kid and they were never in fantastic condition anyway.
But,
Like,
they mean something to you, though.
And they just mean something to me. But yeah, like, you know, I've got a couple of those promo ones from the movies and stuff in there and that, and just a few ones that I still liked.
Do you ever think about putting your ID in it for a night out? It's like, hey, have you got any ID, mate? It's like, I want to get that and put like Johnny's in it if I bring a girl over. So next to my bed and go, oh, you got protection? Da-dung!
That's the real test, isn't it? Of like, if they walk out, then they were never the one anyway.
Mate, I've got dinosaur bedding and a picture of RoboCop above my bed. If I've got them into the bed, I'm already, that's the thing. Nothing's going to put them off at that point.
Oh, dear. And I guess there's no real way to segue that into what I've brought for this week, but we should get on to my wiki entry.
Yes, so what's your wiki this week, Manfred?
So the toy that I want to talk about, and I'm talking specifically about the toy and not anything affiliated with it, you'll understand what I say. And I know we both enjoyed these back in the day, but I wanted to talk about Beyblades.
Oh, yeah, the Beyblades! Okay.
Not the anime.
Not the anime.
We'll talk about the anime, like, I'm sure, during the discussion, but this is about the Beyblade line of high-performance spinning top toys originally developed and manufactured by Takara and Hasbro starting in 1999.
Okay.
So just as Beanie Babies were dropping off, the Beyblades came in.
Was there ever a Beanie Baby Beyblade?
I don't think so.
They could have called it the Beanie Beyblade.
The Beanie Blade.
The Beanie Beyblade. That's what I want.
The Beanie Blade. I'm going for that.
So, you know what? Instead of like, screw which wiki won this week, which pun's better?
Which pun won this week?
Beanie Beyblade or Beanie Blade?
The Beanie Blade. I'm going for that. But yes. So, yeah, just, I guess before we start, like, what is your history with Beyblades, Karl?
Mate, I love Beyblades so much, but unlike Beanie Babies, which were relatively affordable, Beyblades sold for like 10, 12, 15 pounds, some of them. So
some of them, yeah.
I had to make do with the knockoff version of Beyblades, which ended up being better than the official ones, because the official ones were way too fancy. Now, they had all like, they had all the cool plastic shit on, and they had like the little coin you put on top, but that just made them more flimsy. The one that I bought for £5 that I just took to my like dad's shed and duct taped together and put like 5 extra washers on to add to the weight was fucking unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I remember
the wall.
We would do, Beyblade battles in school on, like, not in an arena or anything, just fuck it on the pavement, like, street Beyblades.
That's real Beyblade. That's real Beyblade, mate.
And there would always be that one kid that comes in with, like, this clearly just completely illegal, modified, just metal Beyblade, basically just like half of it was just a giant chunk of metal on it or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, that always beat the kid who had the official one, because the official they were too flimsy.
It would stick to the rules of the toy, whereas fuck it, the knockoffs didn't need to stick to official rules.
Well, that's the official ones were flimsier than the fake ones because they had all the extra extraneous bullshit on, so because they were designed to fall apart like they did on the show to show who won. But because of that, it meant that they would just lose to the ones that weren't meant to do that because they didn't have like the manufacturing fidelity to program, or to not program, it's like design them to fall apart on impact. They just stayed solid and you won every time.
Because essentially, if people don't know, like Beyblades are split into 3 main parts, and you've got the spinning top section at the bottom, then you've got like a weighted disc, and then you've got essentially like the performative plastic piece on the top, which was the identifier for the Beyblade, and they had like the bit chip in, which is like, whichever spirit animal they were using in the show to control the Beyblade and all that. And in the anime, as you mentioned, just a lot of the time for dramatic effect, when the loser lost, they would get hit and like all 3 pieces would separate, and it's like, oh no.
And they did design later ones to do that, which just made them flimsier. Although I think like Beyblades, it's probably like, I bet Beyblades are like Nerf guns. And when you go look at Nerf guns now, and just in the 10, 15 years since you stopped giving a shit, just the technology has progressed way beyond you can imagine. I bet there's Beyblades that can do all sorts of crazy bullshit now.
Oh, you just wait, Karl, because we're gonna discover how bullshit they've got.
That's the thing, yeah, 'cause I distinctly recall there were Beyblades that could jump by the time I was stopped giving a shit, and that alone was crazy enough.
Only a few years in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Beyblade
was
technology.
early.
I bet it's just continued. Like, I bet it's like the Beyblade arms race.
So the history here we'll just go into briefly. Both the toys and their name were inspired by Beigoma, I believe, a traditional spinning top. The introduction of the toy corresponded with the release of Next Generation Beigoma Battle Beyblade, released in 1999, with Ultimate Frostic Dranzer, Spin Dragoon, and Saizo being the first 3 Beyblades released. Obviously, if I get any of these pronunciations wrong, whatever, but interestingly,
Beyblade.
Ultimate Frostic Dranzer and Spin Dragoon both have little links that you can click on, but Saizo doesn't.
Which means that
Saizo got fucked off.
It's like, that's the one that never went anywhere. That was clearly the least marketable one, so they never did anything with it.
And I think Ultimate Frostic Dranzer and Spin Dragoon may have been the antagonist and protagonists.
It sounds like it.
Beyblades, and then the third one was just another character's one.
The loser one, yeah. So I'm glad, because I almost picked Bionicle for this one.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking, like, we could only piss off one fan base, so I'm glad it's Beyblade. So I'll never forget when we talked about Bionicle in a Fact Theme video once, and the person I was talking with went, Karl, don't talk shit about Bionicle. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's like, why? It's like, just don't talk shit about Bionicle. Bionicle fans are insane.
The Bionicle fan base will come for you, Karl.
They will, because they've got no Bionicles left.
I think they're still going, aren't they?
No, they're dead. They're the deadest.
Oh no. I won't mention it. We'll move on. Beyblade was loosely inspired by Pokemon, with the protagonist
of course, yeah.
Takao or Tyson, and the antagonist Kai being based on the characters of Red and Blue.
The thing is, though, what's the most like shit like Pokemon knockoff toy that they try to make? Like, not knockoff, but the other thing, like, in the wake of Pokemon just dominating the 90s toy market, because we had Beyblade, then we had like Bakugan. Was there anything lower than Bakugan?
Clearly, Karl, you mean Digimon, right?
Oh yeah, well, that goes without saying. Like, Digimon is the worst anyway. Like,
we know it came first. We're just taking a job.
But what was the most embarrassing thing they tried to say? I think it was Bakugan, because that was like the little balls that would pop out, and they never did anything cool. At least Beyblade, you could whip that shit across the house. I remember doing a Beyblade on my kitchen floor, and my dog would like.
And again, Karl, I don't think you want to anger the Bakugan fans either.
The thing is, the Bakugan fans come at me. What are you gonna do?
They're gonna send tiny little capsules at you, like, ah.
Yeah, I'll just kick it.
But yeah, like I genuinely think that most of them were just like, to me, not Pokemon. And I say we like to make fun of Digimon, but we understand that it came first, and we both enjoyed Digimon as kids. It's not like, anything like that. But it's not Pokemon. It never became what Pokemon would.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting because I kind of guess in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, I kind of guess I knew it was probably Pokemon inspired, but I never really sat down and thought about it. Like,
it's a thing from Japan that's now big.
Red and Blue with the anime, and then the Beyblades had bit chips, which had monsters, or I guess monsters and other things eventually. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, also a fun word to say.
They are, and they were just what represented the fighting spirit of the player, and it would always be in the anime where they'd be like, go Spin Dragoon, do your ultimate attack, and they would actually do an ultimate attack. But ultimately, they are just spinning tops, or at least they were just spinning tops to start with.
I'll say I never saw a Spin Dragoon ever beat my just fucking duct tape together piece of shit. So it was just the weight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll never forget with me and my brother. Like, my mum got so mad. Like, the noise, it might be the loudest noise I've ever heard in terms of, like, wanting to immediately, stop the noise from happening. So me and my little brother went into the bathroom and played Beyblade in the bath.
Oh,
and the fucking noise that they made. Holy shit. And my mum was like, the fuck is that? So me and my brother, tried to grab my Beyblades and, knock off Beyblades and, ran out the bath.
I do remember when my dad was selling his like house
Beyblades.
that was our childhood house.
His Beyblade, yeah.
But all my Beyblades were in the attic, and he was like, "Do you want to keep all these?" And I was living in like a 1-bed flat at the time and had zero space already. I was like, "No, don't bother about. I haven't thought about my Beyblades in 10 years. Just get rid of it. It's fine." Which obviously now that I'm living in a house with plenty of space, I kind of regret.
Well, now you've got a dog as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine like your dog playing
Just
Beyblade
chasing around Cade with the Beyblade, like go. But I remember just like, let me just get them out one last time. So I got out the arena, I got out the Beyblades, like put a couple together, and like my sisters also just like played with me for 10 minutes and just to satiate me. I remember walking downstairs and hearing how loud the Beyblades actually were in the arena, like hitting each other. It's like, no wonder my dad got pissed off at me playing these every evening.
Yeah.
Oh god! It's like they were ridiculously loud.
They were so loud. That's why we tried to play it in the bath, and the fucking noise that those bastards made were just like grinding on the bottom of the bath.
Okay, yeah. So it says again, this is all based on Pokemon roughly, with the Beyblades essentially replacing the monsters, and they Hudson produced several Pokemon-like games during the period, and it's why both the game and the toy itself were both following like a similar format as well as the anime. And it's how to create that Pokemon media franchise, isn't it? Of just you get the games, the anime, the toys, you got to get them all out at the same time.
We talked about Transformers last week. It's a well-worn path to success. Transformers, He-Man, GoBots, all that nonsense. Just you release an anime, or a cartoon, or a TV show, and then release a toy.
And a manga, apparently, here.
That must be the most boring fucking manga.
But they made, at least the anime that we watched as, a cartoon as a kid, like they made that shit quite dynamic and exciting, considering it was just 2 spinning tops in an arena.
Well, I guess, do you want to just mention the thing that everyone always talks about when it comes to Beyblade? Like, what's the hypest part of the Beyblade anime?
Oh, well, we'll get to that when we talk about the rules of Beyblade.
Okay.
We'll talk. Well, I presume that I'm thinking of the same thing as you.
We're definitely thinking of the same thing, yeah.
So, yeah, it says that the anime television series was released. It was loosely based on the manga. It carried the name Bakuton Shoot Beyblade, which ran between January and December 2001. Okay, so not particularly long-running manga from the sounds of it.
Because they were done. He became the champion Beyblader.
And then the games became tie-ins with the anime from that point onwards. And then in 2001, Hasbro began to sell Beyblade toys internationally under license from and produced by Takara, which presumably when we started getting them.
Yeah.
And that was with a coordinated country-by-country rollout of localized versions of the TV series, which, again, we also watch. Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it then says the Beyblade toy line went on to be one of the most popular toy lines in the world from 2000 to 2005, and as of 2005 had sold over 100 million units worldwide.
What happened if we stuck all 100 million together? Like if we made like a 4-mile tall Beyblade.
How big would the launcher have to be?
I don't know. Here's the thing, though.
To combine 100 million units of Beyblades.
I've just got an idea now. Let's go. Do you know, like people go like skateboarding in like an abandoned swimming pool? You can probably see where I'm going with this. Let's go get 100 Beyblades
and just find some like abandoned skate park and just get the Beyblades, the ultimate Beyblade match. That needs to be just. If we ever come up with like a fan meetup, is everybody bringing one Beyblade to an abandoned skate park somewhere?
Well, I still want to do that thing, like that amazing video of like it's called like Forbidden Beyblade, and it's like they cover the like a metal bowl or a frying pan in like like oil, set it on fire, and then Beyblade in the fire. And it's like that's the real shit. I think they do it in like a wok or something like that.
God, that's one way to quickly destroy your wok, isn't it?
That's like it's non-stick.
Well, I mean, you get rid of all that nice layer on the top. It becomes a very sticky wok very fast. But I do remember as well, I love the fact that it's talking here about all the types of Beyblades, and it's like, Beyblades were categorized as attack, endurance, combination, or survival types. And then the hybrid wheel system was introduced, where the combination, endurance, and survival types were renamed as balance, defense, and stamina types, respectively. It's like, these shit, the boxes of these would tell you, like, what the type was. They would tell you, like, if they had any special function, they had stats on them.
Yeah.
They'd, like, attack stats and defense stats and
it was
shit.
all bullshit, because it was all based on which kid was strongest. Because I don't care how good your Beyblade was, if you can't rip that, like, ripcord out at 1,000 RPM. Like, I remember once, like, when, like, my dad or my older brother did it, and it just absolutely fucking annihilated us, because obviously it goes so much faster. It's based entirely on how fast it's spinning. Ultimately, that's the only thing that matters, and you can't make it spin faster than an adult who can just go, whoa.
And a lot of it is obviously just elements of, like, luck and what kind of Beyblade, like, especially the very tip of the spinning point. You got, like, ones that were, like, flatter, which I think were, like, the defense ones or something.
Yeah.
So that when they got hit, they were less likely to just wobble and stuff. But yeah, a lot of it was just, either one of them could randomly just hit in the right way where they just spin off. And
and some of them had, like, they had different weightings, so some would wobble. Like, specifically, like, you put, like, they're off weight slightly, so when they go in, they don't spin directly in the middle. They'd, like, wobble and move around the arena.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll get onto some of the extra additions they made later down the line. But first,
Beyblade Gun, let's go.
We talk about the rules, Karl.
The rules were just, fuck you, I win.
No. They were not, Karl.
Okay, so what are the rules of Beyblade? Let me know, go on. So I never played the official rules. I just played fuck it, just spin until one falls over.
This is under the game rules. This is the first one. So it says, note that these are the rules for the Metal Saga era of Beyblade, which I'm just going to keep it as simple as possible. This is the first rule set as far as I'm aware for Beyblade. And then they have a bunch of other, like, rules for later on and stuff. But the goal is to be the first player to score 7 points or more, which, no, I don't think I ever worked with a fucking score point system.
No, it's until, like, whoever just gives up.
But, Karl, How to Battle has 3 things in it, and I think maybe number 1 is the most important, because it says that both players must begin with the signal 3, 2, 1, let it rip.
Does that mean...
Or in brackets, go shoot.
Does that mean in an official tournament, if you didn't say let it rip, you lose points?
I guess so, because, like, it says here, under the rules of How to Battle, players begin with the signal 3, 2, 1, let it rip.
Because would that not fall?
In full capitals, exclamation point.
Does that mean, because that's a rule, not like a just element of sportsmanship. It's like, for example, it is not against the rules in sport to shake your opponent's hand. It's considered bad sportsmanship not to do that, but if they made it a rule and you didn't, that's kind of crazy. Because that means, like, if you wanted to be an absolute arsehole and they didn't say let it rip every time, you could fuck over your opponent.
And this is obviously just according to BeybladeFandom.com, so take everything here with a grain of salt. This might not be...
I'm going to trust Beyblade Fandom to know what Beyblade rules are.
Yeah, exactly. They know better than we do. So at that point, at the signal, both players launch their bays into the bay stadium. And then you get one launch per battle, and the battle ends when one bay stops spinning. And we've got the scoring here.
What constitutes stop spinning?
Yeah, well, there's multiple ways they constitute not spinning anymore. So if your top spins longer than your opponent, you score 1 point. This is called a sleep out. If you touch your opponent during their launch, your opponent scores 1 point. So basically, you can't fuck around with them launching their Beyblade.
Okay, so you can't just, like, slap them as they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is one of those things where it's only a rule, because I guarantee there's a tournament where someone realised, it's not against the rules, so just push you over as you try and do it.
If you don't launch your bay successfully into the stadium, you lose 1 point. If your bay gets trapped in a penalty pocket, your opponent scores 2 points.
Oh, those little bubbles on the outskirts, yeah.
I presume they would be the little traps on the outside, yes. And then if you touch the stadium during battle, your opponent scores 3 points and the battle is immediately over. which, if you were up 4-0,
Yeah, you could just
means
do that.
realistically you could just grab the stadium and win.
Yeah. Which again, I guarantee you, if there's an official, presumably there must have been official slots. Someone must have done that and been very annoying.
And then compete in multiple battles until one player scores 7 or more points. Okay, so the battle would be over, but you still continue multiple battles.
Okay,
so that's not an easy way to win.
Okay, no, perfect.
So yeah, it's not the golden snitch in Quidditch where the moment like you could win via this amount of points and end the game. It's like no. It keeps going. So that's what the basic battle rules are. But was that what you were thinking, Karl, when you're talking about the most hype thing? Is like the 3-2-1 let it rip?
The most hype thing in the anime is when Moses split the Red Sea using a Beyblade.
I forget.
How do you forget that it's Beyblade canon?
I don't know.
That is Moses part of the Red Sea with his Beyblade.
It is official Beyblade canon that Moses split the Red Sea via Beyblade.
Yeah, that's how we did it in our world, right? I don't see how else you'd part the Red Sea without a Beyblade, like without like fucking Spin Dragoon, whatever it's called.
So it has a heading here of like systems.
Okay,
and we'll go through the basic system, and then I will go quickly through what other systems they've added over time, but I am just scrolling and scrolling. They've added a bunch of bullshit.
Of course there is. It's Beyblade.
Of course. It's been going for 20 plus years. It's like, of course, they've had to keep adding more and more power creep to keep people interested.
How do you power creep a spin top? Like, does one of them, like I said, does one of them just have a gun on it? Do you have like battery-powered Beyblades now or something?
Oh, you had those when I was still playing Beyblades.
Battery-powered ones?
Like RC ones, yeah.
I never knew about that.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
Oh, dear. So, we'll talk about the basic system. So the basic system is just like
pure
what I mentioned earlier. Is just you've got the bit chip, which is the decorative plate that is inserted into the attack ring of the Beyblade, adorned with a small icon of the bit beast. In the anime, these creatures' souls were actually housed in the Beyblades themselves.
You've got to suck at it. Imagine being a dragon. It's like, what's my destiny? You're trapped inside a child's toy.
The legendary Glacier Dragoon, and it's like, yeah, you're a spinning top. What?
Yeah. Spin.
Then you have the attack ring, which is the top of the 3 layers that I mentioned earlier. It determines the blade's effect when it impacts against its opponent, as this is normally the first part to come in contact with the opposing blade. Then you have the weight disc, which affects the power and speed of the Beyblade, which Karl just sets a maximum.
Always, yeah.
And then the blade base, which determines the direction of the Beyblade's rotation, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And then the tip determines how the Beyblade spins, but also affects its movement pattern. The performance tip can be attached to the blade base.
I'm just expecting it's going to be like Call of Duty. Like all these extra attachments and like laser sights and all that bollocks on it.
So we're going to get into all our laser sights. So the first one is the Magnacore system.
Fuck's the Magnacore system?
And I'm just going to give a brief, quick read of like what each one says.
Does it have a magnet in it, and it's like, it attracts your Beyblade towards the opponent? It's got a magnet,
so
even though...
Yeah, it features magnetic spin gears and weight discs to attract or repel blades from one another. You could also purchase magnets that were put in the bottom of the base stadium, which affected the movement patterns of the Beyblade. So it was magnetic, and you could place little magnets underneath so that the magnet would then keep your Beyblade in place in a certain part of the stadium.
There's no way those magnets were strong enough to actually do anything.
Well, they were strong enough to keep it in place, but then not strong enough where when it got struck by the other Beyblade, it would stay in place.
I mean, like the ones that you put inside your Beyblade, because I'm just picturing, like, if you got like an electromagnet and your Beyblade's like, whoa, 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 like a fucking shield.
So I presume this is the one which I was referring to earlier. The engine gear tops. So each engine gear includes a turbo winder to wind up the engine core. When in action, the blade base releases the engine gear determined by the blade base clutch lock system, and they were the last ones to be made of plastic parts with the exception of the weight discs. The rest after this were semi-metal or completely metal Beyblades.
That's dangerous then.
Yeah,
it's like the early ones were like so light.
And like they hurt a little bit if you got hit by them, but not as much as like a magnetic engine propelled fully metal Beyblade coming straight at your face. Jesus.
I'm just now picturing someone like John, like a lathe or something, like just like sharpening the edge of their Beyblade. Like,
well, did you ever have that?
No.
Like I remember there were kids that would come into school and they'd like fashion their Beyblade things into like knives.
I never saw anyone do that, but like I said, I had the weighted one. Like mine was just like washers from my dad's shed, like super glued or duct taped together, and that was basically indestructible.
Like we had kids come into school and be like, like my older brother or my dad or whatever is like fashion this into like an actual weapon in the middle of my Beyblade.
Just put razor blades on it or some shit.
Shit like that, literally, yeah. And like just soldered fucking razor blades to the Beyblades and stuff. It's terrifying.
Spin to win, baby. Spin to win.
So the engine gear types here, we quickly just have engine gear, turbo engine gear, reverse gear, or gyro engine gear.
I remember the reverse ones of like, weren't they like they changed direction, which just to me sounds like a terrible idea because that's momentum. The rules
because surely you're reversing the momentum that your Beyblade already has.
Yeah, it's like so much easier to keep something spinning than it is to completely reverse its direction. Just sounds like an absolute waste of like all the power and stuff.
Again, like the blade base types for the engine gears are like instant release or first clutch system, steady release system, hit release or final clutch, and middle clutch. Beyblades got so complicated so quickly.
And I guarantee you, the best one is still the just heavy as fuck, middle of the arena. I guarantee you.
Well, that's maybe what this next one is, which is the Beyblade HMS, the hard metal system. And they are a line of Beyblade toys released after the engine gear line. And this series, unlike ones in the past, uses smaller pieces mostly made of metal. They have a distinct advantage over previously released Beyblades that begin their spin velocities. That being their spin velocities are 1.5 to 2 times faster. And they're purely made like of metal, basically.
There was no weakness.
And then there's there's the metal system.
Like, where's like just the absolute? I want like that's what the Beyblade should be like. Oh, I've got like the Spin Panzer Dragoon Ultimate Mega Clutch Dragon Monster. It's like, well, I've got the absolute unit.
Well, we go into the hybrid wheel system, the extreme top system, or XTS for sure.
Like, I'm just gonna look up Beyblade 2023 and see what comes up.
The 4D system, the Synchrome system, and the Burst system.
So I've just googled Beyblade 2023. Oh my god, there's one here called the wait, what's this? The best Beyblades of 2023's ranked season. What? What? And it's got like the Assurer, and it's got like, oh my god, it looks like a fucking talisman from Jackie Chan Adventures or some shit.
Beyblade the Assurer.
No, because it's actually owned by a guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like this is that like it says owner. Oh, okay, it's the guy in the anime. Because I thought this was like an actual tournament, and it's like the name of a dude who won a tournament is a dude from the anime, I think.
Right.
I hope. I think.
I mean,
so. Okay, yeah, it's the guy from the anime. Okay, because it's like it sounds like a guy's actual name. I'm like, is this the guy who's super fucking good at Beyblade?
I know that Beyblades, for the most part, I believe, like, they still look the same when I look in them now, and like they don't look ridiculous. But I did see one thing where it's like one of the newest gimmicks they have is arenas, where the entire wall of the arena is essentially got gear picks all over them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, like, the Beyblade is the gear cog that then gets clipped into the arena and then gets sent around speeding up on the like cog wall, like the gear wall, and then gets flung back into the middle of the arena.
Oh, mate.
It's like, it's just so funny how crazy these things get, and it's just one of those things of it does make sense because they need to keep innovating and they need to keep adding new things on, because otherwise Beyblades are just gonna, I guess, vaguely just fade into the background because kids don't care. There's no new gimmick.
Like they do, but mate, I've got some bad news for you.
Oh no!
The World Championship Beyblading was on June 25th.
Oh,
this year.
We've missed out.
We missed it. I'm on the website now. It says we can apply early bird registration for 2024. Should we go?
Should we train for the year? Can this be our training?
Let's have a look. Media, cover the event, record battles, and do interviews. Let's go. I'll apply for a media pass for the Beyblade World Tournament. Let's have a look. Is it on? It's called the Beyblade World Championship. It says 23rd and 25th of June. But it just happened.
Yeah.
Which means location.
They probably just... Yeah, they might not have updated the site or anything yet, maybe.
Well, they have to do, because the event just happened. I want 2024.
Yeah, they're probably taking a week off. They just had a successful...
Yeah, they've just had a really big tournament, haven't they?
They've just had a big tournament, yeah.
Let's have a look.
How are we getting into Beyblade World Championships 2024?
Where's the Beyblade World Championship? Apparently there's a tournament in Washington.
As in America, Washington?
Washington, yeah, July 8th.
You want us to go to America for Beyblade competitions?
It's unranked, so we could join. Let's have a look. See all tournaments. There's one in the UK. There's a lot in America.
Is there a UK-based one? 'Cause I don't fancy flying... 16-hour round trip to go to a Beyblade tournament.
They're all in America, it looks like. There's one in Singapore.
This is our fault, Karl.
Let's have a look.
We never supported the Beyblade tournament.
We never did we?
I mean, I did actually win a Beyblade tournament as a kid. But,
did you?
I haven't... Yeah, just a local one. It was nothing. But I still remember because I, just used a stock basic Beyblade, won the tournament. And then my prize for winning the tournament was a Beyblade.
But you already had the best Beyblade. And it was
the Beyblade that I used in the tournament.
So I got 2.
It was just great. I just got this... I just got a copy of my winning Beyblade.
I'm looking. I think there are still Beyblades in 2020. Beyblade 2023 UK. Let's have a look. Time to get serious. Oh, that's from 2022. 2023.
Oh, no.
So it looks like,
No, we need to look for 2024, Karl.
Well, here's the thing, though, Lucas. We need to put fucking England on the map. Because it looks like America's, fucking leading the way in Beyblade. I'm not happy about this. The Beyblade World Cup 2023, March. What's going on?
Well, you need to look for 2024, Karl. Clearly, the season of Beyblade Championships has come and gone.
It is. We must have missed, the tournament season. And you're getting next year. Oh, mate, regionals are open to everyone, bladers and spectators alike. We need to go next year. Here's the thing, next year, instead of going to Comic-Con or any bollocks like that, can we go to, the Beyblade World Championships?
And just, stomp on some kids' Beyblade.
Well, that's the thing. I want to show you a picture of it. Here's the world champion, Lucas. This is the world champion's an 8-year-old.
We can take him.
The thing is, I bet he's really good.
Yeah.
I bet that kid is real fucking good. It's just his little kid, Jai Shindra. He's got an attack stat of 90.
Oh, no.
The thing is, I don't want to meet an 8-year-old that's got an attack stat of 80 or 90. That kid sounds terrifying. I'm serious. Should we go with this?
I'm tempted.
You don't 2024. Do you want to go to a Beyblade World Championships?
I want to go fight some 8-year-olds.
So that sounds like the thing of you'd think it'd be folded into a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament or something. Wouldn't you? Think they'd do a big Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Beyblade?
Yeah.
Presumably there's a bunch of side tournaments for all that stuff. I'd go to something like this. It's a right laugh. Just buy a 10 quid one. Buy one from the shop outside and just go in yeah, fuck it, I'll play Beyblade.
Get some razor blades, solder them on.
No, what you do is have me going in with a beer in my hand. I'm yeah!
Just every time you win, do a shot and be like, "Oh, come on, join in."
No, what
kids.
I do is I spin. I hold my hands out and I spin as my Beyblade spins. It's like that time I went to there was it was like Tekken 5 tournament. Like some bullshit thing. And I went in and there was a guy there who took it so seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And I just picked Dragnov and just did his 50-50 mix up 4 times in a row. Paused it as I was about to win. Just went, I'm sorry, but I'm too good, and walked off. And he went up to me, I won because he paused the game. It's like, yeah, let that guy win. That's the guy who deserves to win because he's going to bitch and moan about it if he doesn't.
If you can promise me that you'll get hype at a Beyblade tournament,
Mate,
Karl, I'm tempted to go.
I think what we should do is we should make it like a sponsor goal. We should reach out to him and say, hey, do you want to sponsor an episode of our podcast? And then just can you imagine, just in a couple of weeks' time, this podcast is sponsored by the Beyblade World Championship. Register interest now.
Oh, dear.
I think we should.
I think we should. No, I think we should show up and just be the only 2 fully grown adults playing.
Mate, we're not going to be the only 2 fully grown adults there. We're going to be the only 2 fully grown adults there over there, ironically.
Are we going ironically, Karl? Are we really?
It depends how hype I get. Depends if I win.
Karl will be there ironically until he wins the tournament.
Until I win, yeah.
Until he beats these 8-year-olds down with Beyblades.
I could beat an 8-year-old.
I don't know if you can, though. That's the thing. How much do they train at Beyblades, Karl?
Not enough. How much body strength can an 8-year-old have? I've got to do one thing and it's just
when
seated
they've got
rows.
an attack stat of 90. Must be pretty impressive.
Let's do it. If anyone's listening to this host one, and it's in the UK, if you have because there might be someone out there if there's listening who hosts a weekly thing, card games
Karl.
or something like that. If you do that, contact us. Me and Lucas might turn up.
Karl, maybe we should do it.
That sounds like a lot of work, mate. I'd rather just turn up.
I mean, it does sound like a lot of work. Yeah.
Contact us.
If there isn't an adults-only Beyblade tournament in the UK, we should start one. We can be the only 2 people there. We're guaranteed to win.
Just do it. No, what we'll do is we'll host the unofficial one, the illegal. We'll do street Beyblade.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll make
Bring
the
it back
unofficial
all
one.
the way around. The street Beyblades on the go.
Like I said, instead of having any of that official tournament format shit, it's no rules.
We'll host it in the parking lot of the official tournament.
And we'll have the wok. Get a big wok.
Get a bathtub out.
Yeah, get a big old steel bathtub or something like that. Take it into the car park. Like a tailgate party.
Get the beers out, get the bathtub out.
Yeah.
Do some street Beyblade.
We play street Beyblade now, son.
Oh dear.
No one has their own hype, man. That sounds fun.
It does.
Let's do it.
No, it does. So yeah, I guess let us know which wiki won this week.
It's fucking Beyblade, mate.
Was it the Street Beyblades or was it the Beanie Blades?
The Beanie Beyblade, let's go. I'm voting for Beyblade all day.
Podcast. So yeah, we probably won't have a theme next week because we've done a theme one this week, but I hope you enjoyed Karl and I just talking fun about toys for nearly 2 hours.
It's when we knew it was about Beyblade,
we got lost in.
We know that conversation will be at least an hour.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. As always, let us know which wiki won this week in the comments. Give us a like and a sub if you're not already done so.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week for more wiki podcasting.
Cheers, everyone.